So yesterday, Coach L, who is he's a pretty well-known trainer up in the Birmingham area, and he does a lot of stuff with defensive linemen, a lot of stuff with Auburn's current defensive lineman, Bama's current defensive lineman, a lot of guys in the NFL as well. But he put out a picture of him and then Auburn defensive coordinator DJ Durkin, and Auburn defensive line coach Vontrell King Williams. And then like 2 seconds later, he put out a picture or a video of Vodney Cleveland, who is a 2026 defensive lineman out of Prattville that he was working out there. And I was surprised when I saw that he was a 2026 guy because he's huge. He's already 6'2", over 300 pounds. But then like the video he put up, Brian, is like, that dude does not look like he's concerned about moving 300 pounds because he was moving so smooth. But I mentioned Vodney Cleveland to you on a phone call earlier today, and you're like, oh, yeah, I know who he is. So tell me about him.
Power. He's a guy that is built like somebody that's 23, 24 years old already. He's been to Auburn here recently. I was on campus one day when he was there. When he walks by you, if you didn't know who he was, you'd say, okay, that's just one of the current defensive linemen. He's a sophomore in high school.
I mean, even his like, I'm looking at his headshot on his On3 page, and like he looks like a 24-year-old man.
100%.
It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, some people are just built differently is a fact in this case.
Sure.
So, he can move well though laterally, and he's not just a guy that's going to run over you. Like that's his number one thing is if you're off balance at all, you're going to go for a ride. But he can get around guys too. He's the rare interior guy that can rush the passer a little bit, and he's just learning technique and all that. But you can't teach the athleticism and the sheer girth that Vodney has. So right. I think he has a very, very bright future. He'll have offers from every school in the SEC.
Yeah, Auburn appears to be kind of one of the early favorites, it seems, for his services, and we'll see what happens and what his timeline is. He still has plenty of time. You know, some kids like to commit early on. Some people like to wait their time. That varies on the kid. You know that better than anybody. But as far as just this staff's approach to go ahead and like being on the front line of getting these guys for the 2026 class, that's just something Auburn really hasn't had before. And we've talked about it before, but like, this is what it looks like. Like we always kind of throw out the general idea of this staff gets recruiting, but they're already worried about 2026, and you know they've still got a big chunk of 2025 left. But to me, I just think that's valuable, and I think it's kind of an example that fans need to pay attention to as far as DJ Durkin and Vontrell King Williams already kind of hitting the trail and making sure they get some of their guys for 2026, which is still 2 years away.
Well, they had Anthony Tank Jones on campus already. He's arguably the best player in the country. St. Paul's and Mobile, another defensive lineman. They've had Hezekiah Harris from Huntsville, but Jemison, he's been on campus. They've done a really good job with their due diligence, especially locally, Georgia, Alabama kids, which they should, and bringing them over. You can't get them on campus enough times. It's something that's been going on for a long time at other programs. Like Saban used to offer kids that were ninth grade. People thought it was kind of crazy. He's like, well, certain kids you just know. Now, obviously, Saban can evaluate a little better than some people, but like I understand what he's talking about. And Auburn's done a good job with it. Like you see Anthony Tank Jones, you don't need any evaluation skills. He's kind of like Vodney. But it's a situation where if you get them on campus, you got to make hay, so you get them to come back. And some of these kids already been back multiple times, and they got 2 years of high school left. So Auburn is definitely trending in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest knock against the hiring of Vontrell King Williams was he hasn't recruited and been a guy on the trail at the SEC level.
It's
and
true.
We haven't seen any of these guys pop yet, but I'm excited to see like what this could potentially turn into, because it appears that he's putting in the work, that he's going to see the people that he needs to see, and these defensive linemen are visiting Auburn as well. It's just, you know, it seems like he's a likable guy too, because everybody that's within the program loves the dude. So it seems like he's got all the traits of what a good recruiter would be, but I'm excited to see some of these pieces start to fall in place so we can kind of say, okay, Vontrell's starting to get into his bag a little bit.
He's a very nice guy. Everybody gets along with him in the recruiting media. He's somebody that you could just hang out with and have a beer and just talk football and be very comfortable. I'm not surprised he's having success as a recruiter. So he'll do just fine at Auburn. I mean, he's played big time football. He's coached it. He's been under some guys that knew what they were doing. He took the right path. and he's going to reap the benefits, and so will Auburn because of all those things.
No question. No question. So, yeah, Vodney Cleveland, a guy that is certainly on my radar on the defensive line.